Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, as Christmas Day draws to a close, it's worth remembering, of course, what set it all off. And no, I'm not talking about pagan holidays or the winter solstice. I'm talking about the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ, who was most likely born in the summer or October, and it was just bastardized in so that everybody could celebrate it at the same time. And then, even with Father Christmas being Saint Nicholas, another Christian thing was just Thor going around the world so quickly at Christmas time. And so it's that amalgamation of different religions which has caused the Reformation. And these are just the Christmas examples, but of course there are other examples as well. But what has caused it to be a more successful, long-standing religion in that it incorporates things from other cultures and brings people together, and there's nothing that epitomizes it more than Christmas, seeing as Christmas is the time when most people get together, they are together, and Christmas is a thing of tradition. And I'm not one for tradition being there for the sake of being tradition. It is good to let go of things from time to time, but Christmas still has a place at the top spot, given that it evokes those feelings. And there have been so many adverts saying, it's a shame Christmas is for sharing, or treat yourself this Christmas, or be selfish. So, well, actually, most of the good that comes from Christmas is the things that you give to others. Most of the happiness you get is from giving things to other people, not giving it to yourself, which is a slight cultural change that has happened over the decades in the West. But it does still exist in other cultures, Japan, for example. But given that it's difficult to speak about the benefits of Christianity in the modern day, and also what modern Christians are facing, even as an atheist myself, I think it's worth highlighting, and this would be the best day to pick on it. So I'm springing from this article from the Express, which reads, Christian persecution, bishops urgent appeal as abuse reaches near genocide levels. A bishop has urged people of all faiths to pray for religious tolerance this Christmas after the persecution of Christians hit near genocide levels this year, according to a report. Yes, it is the fastest growing religion in China at the moment. It is making a comeback over there, but even there, it's very much state-sanctioned. They have to have CCP imagery inside the churches. There are only a set few sects that are permitted to practice, and they have to incorporate Xi Jinping, their predecessor, into their religious texts as well, and their Ten Commandments are then altered by the CCP's ideology, and they don't take kindly to anyone who tries to practice without adhering to these alterations. And people are still killed because of their Christianity, convert or die, as is the doctrine of Islam, for example, and that is where we see most of the violence against Christians happening. And as we've seen for the centuries, which is of course what started the First Crusade, after all, and is also what Boris Johnson mentioned in his recent Christmas message, to say that Christians are being persecuted wherever they are, and they might even have to celebrate it in private. And of course he did also mention the servicemen and women who are overseas for the great country of Great Britain, and it is for a similar reason of persecuted people largely on religious grounds, and Christians are very high at the top of that list. So as we read on, Reverend Philip Mount Stephen, Bishop of Truro, was also chair of the independent review into his FCO support for persecuted Christians. This review, which came out in May, found Christians were the most persecuted religious group. The bishop wrote, evidence shows not only the geographic spread of anti-Christian persecution, but also its increasing severity. Because, of course, atheism seems to have come out of the left, but also the embrace of Islam, which puts them at a slight dichotomy, and therefore they just focus on being anti-Christian and pro-Muslim, so they team up there, or pro-Islam. There was also a warning that the religion is at risk of disappearing in some parts of the world. This is due to figures which claim Christians in Palestine represent less than 1.5% of the population, while in Iraq they'd fallen from 1.5 million to less than 120,000. Which came after more than 250 people were killed and more than 500 were wounded in attacks at churches and hotels in Sri Lanka on Easter earlier this year. And people call them Easter worshippers, and that was the pagan goddess called Easter. Yes, if you're an Easter worshipper, you're a pagan, you're not a Christian. And there have been some who say, oh, like Ramadan worshippers or synagogue worshippers. So, well, that's just wrong. It's not a quirky way of putting it. It's not covering it up. It's just fake. It's fake news. It is a lie. It is not people who worship Easter. It's not people who worship Ramadan. It is not people who worship synagogues. There was a name. If you wish to use their collective group, they are Christians, Muslims, Jews, independently, and you can call them that. And people know what you mean. An Easter worshipper is a pagan. So the Reverend told Express, Christmas is obviously a time of enormous significance to Christians the world over as we celebrate God's gift to the world of his son Jesus. Sadly, there are too many examples throughout history of acts of persecution against Christians and members of other faiths taking place during religious festivals. Atrocities become all the more heinous when they are timed to coincide with a festival of devotion or joy. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister promised to tackle the persecution of Christians around the world in his Christmas message, as mentioned. And they go on to say that there is essentially still hope. People are starting to change their mind about how Christians are being persecuted. I'm sure the South African whites are just waiting for their genocide to also be noted, and eventually the sleeping giant of the West, of Christianity in the West as well, I'm sure, will rise from its long slumber again, and it will come out and say, hey, no, that's enough. Nice until we're not. There will be one final straw that will break the camel's back, and I'm sure at that point we'll just put our foot down and say, hey, like, from the way I can see it, it just seems to be the Western culture is being raised by its mum, and the dad has gone missing. Like the dad has gone off to fight in a separate war, whatever it might be. The children are fraternising with violent gangs and trying to find meaning that way, and it's about time dad came home and sat down Western culture and said, hey, enough of your shit. You're not going to be spending time with those groups anymore. You're not going to be getting into violence and criminality, and you're actually going to pursue a life of meaning. You're going to pick up a weight and you're going to walk with it, and you're going to do something that will make yourself proud. Not necessarily happy, that is too much of a fleeting emotion, but you will be proud. So I think as a society we just need dad back. And of course religion does have the father figure, and God is a father for a reason, and it is that encouraging disciplinarian, and that seems to be what we're missing. I'm not saying we need religion to bring back that sense of meaning and purpose, but it is very useful for many people. And I can think of worse religions than Christianity to be a backbone of the society. But as always, am I wrong? Let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say, and I know it's been a slightly different video, this one. So if you're interested in this kind of thing moving forward, less contemporarily news based and more philosophical, do let me know. Always interested to hear what you guys have to say. But like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And for the last time this year, Merry Christmas.